Hi everyone, my name's Amy Chen. I am the art director at GameSim, and today I'll be talking about leveling up communication in game production. Before we get into today's topic, let's start with a quick show of hands. How many of you have ever experienced a moment of miscommunication that caused some friction on a project with your team or in the workplace? Almost everyone. Great. You can put your hands down now. At the end of my presentation, I'm going to ask those of you who are brave enough to share your stories and the lessons you've learned so that we can have a collective post-mortem so we can learn and grow together. If there's not enough time in the end, I encourage you all to just come talk to me because I would still love to hear your stories. My journey in 3D art began in 2012 when I enrolled in a digital animation and visual effects school. There, I not only honed my technical skills, but also became aware of the industry's harsh realities, where long hours and all-nighters were not just common, but expected. I was fueled by eagerness and passion, so I adopted the mindset of, I'll do whatever it takes. Our school had a computer lab open 24 hours a day, and many of us spent nights and weekends there working tirelessly to complete our assignments. Transitioning to the professional world, I found that long hours persisted, just as we had been warned. Early in my career, our leadership took on an ambitious project without proper vetting. This forced us, the artists, to take drastic measures to meet the deadline. We pulled all-nighters and we worked weekends. Florida summers are notoriously hot and humid, making it extremely uncomfortable to work without air conditioning. The building we worked in didn't have air conditioning turned on during the weekends unless notified and paid for in advance. Leadership wasn't aware we would be working weekends, and we didn't know the AC policy, so we thought it was broken. As a result, we ended up working in a sweltering building in the middle of summer. We managed to complete the project on time, but not without sacrifice, frustration, and a little bit of PTSD. Around the same time, I learned that the school I had attended decided to restrict their computer lab hours because a student had a panic attack and had to be hospitalized. These experiences highlighted not only the issues within the company, but a major issue within our industry. The lack of effective planning and communication was leading to unsustainable practice and crunch culture. As a result, our industry suffered from inefficiencies, conflicts, and burnout, forcing schools to teach their future game developers to prepare to cope with an unhealthy work environment. Fast forward to 2024, and the gaming industry has made significant improvements in achieving a better work-life balance for its workers. This progress stems from a deeper understanding of project processes, greater consideration for individuals, and the implementation of effective work communication methods. As a result, our industry has evolved and our practices have become more sustainable. Despite these advancements, valuable lessons remain to be learned. Throughout my career, I've gained insights from personal experiences and observations. I'll be sharing the lessons I've learned that have helped me run teams more efficiently while creating healthier environments. Some of these stories come from my own journey, while others come from conversations with colleagues who have faced similar challenges. This comes to the first lesson, setting the stage, the importance of initial project scoping. Measure twice, cut once. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Prior proper planning prevents poor performance. Failing to plan is planning to fail. These are all familiar sayings that emphasize the importance of planning, really knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. Words of wisdom spoken by those who understand the weight of its value. The story I shared earlier serves as a prime example of what happens when proper time isn't taken to thoughtfully plan and scope a project. It's crucial to take the time to talk to experienced colleagues, ask as many questions as possible, and weigh their insights heavily. Taking on a project without fully understanding its requirements can lead to unrealistic scheduling, unforeseen challenges, and significant delays. This lesson seems obvious, but why is improper scoping still so prevalent in game production? The reasons are multifaceted. One reason is that we work on games. If we fail, nobody dies. The repercussions aren't dire, so small details can often slip through the cracks. Improper scoping can arise from a lack of awareness or improperly communicated goals and milestones. Disconnects between management, who are responsible for scoping the work, and team members executing the tasks can result in misaligned expectations and misunderstandings about project requirements. Furthermore, unforeseen events and variables that are difficult to predict can further complicate the scoping process. We could save significantly more time, money, and headaches by placing greater emphasis on properly scoping a project from the very beginning. Doing this involves detailed planning, setting clear expectations, and identifying potential challenges early on. It's essential to involve all relevant stakeholders, gather their input, and ensure everyone is aligned with the project's goals and constraints. This upfront investment in planning pays off by reducing risks and ensuring smoother execution. The lesson: emphasize the importance of proper project scoping from the very beginning. By taking the time to plan thoroughly, ask questions, and gather insights, we can avoid many of the pitfalls that lead to project delays and increased costs. This approach improves project outcomes and enhances team morale and efficiency. Breaking down silos, enhancing collaboration in game development. During one project, I served as the art director, overseeing a team of talented artists working on environment art on a game. The project utilized the client's proprietary engine and tools, which required a deep understanding of a very nuanced pipeline and a lot of tribal knowledge to execute correctly. Each team member was separated in their respective areas and focusing on their specific tasks. In my role, I made it a point to check in with each artist daily to see how they were doing and to address any issues they might have encountered. Through these conversations, I noticed a recurring problem. Many of them were running into the same issues, but weren't aware that solutions had already been found by their colleagues. Not only that, but there were interesting and creative workflows and tools some of them have found or created that they kept to themselves, not knowing it would be helpful to the rest of the team. The separation of the team meant that information and knowledge wasn't being shared effectively. Recognizing this gap, I started encouraging team members to document solutions or tools they've created and to share these solutions on our SharePoint. This repository became a valuable resource for everyone, providing a centralized place where knowledge could be stored and accessed. Whenever someone encountered an issue, they could check to SharePoint for potential solutions. However, not everyone was always aware of the updates or remembered to check the SharePoint regularly. Since the team members were focused on different themes and tasks, they always didn't see the relevance of the documented solutions until they personally encountered those problems themselves. To mitigate this, I continued my daily check-ins, directing people to the relevant documents when needed, as well as encouraging everyone to post their problems in the group chat until the system became ingrained in our project culture. The lesson: encourage documentation and sharing of solutions to common problems and maintain active communication channels to ensure that the information reaches everyone who might need it. Breaking down silos isn't just about creating resources, it's about fostering an environment where knowledge flows freely and collaboration is continuous. Clarifying roles, preventing team drama through clear role definition. In one of our projects, our team faced issues due to unclear roles and responsibilities. The project was already well underway when a new team member was designated to be the new lead to oversee an area of the development. However, this change wasn't communicated effectively to the entire team. And as a result, team members continued to treat this lead as just another coworker, not realizing that the tasks they were assigned were action items and not mere suggestions. The lack of clarity in the lead's role led to friction within the team. Team members were resistant to feedback, seeing it as unnecessary criticism rather than constructive guidance. On the other hand, the newly appointed lead felt disrespected and frustrated since their attempts to steer the project were met with indifference and pushback. The ongoing tension began to impact the project's progress and the overall team dynamics. It became evident that something needed to change. We decided to hold a meeting and to address the issue directly. During this meeting, we clarified everyone's roles and responsibilities, emphasizing the new lead's position and authority within the team. Once the roles were clearly defined and communicated, the atmosphere within the team shifted noticeably. The tension dissipated and the team started to function more cohesively. The lead was able to give direction without resistance, and team members felt more comfortable knowing who to turn to for guidance and feedback. The lesson: defining roles, hierarchy, and responsibilities clearly from the outset is essential for smooth team operations. When everyone understands their role and the roles of others, it eliminates misunderstandings and fosters a more harmonious working environment. Effective communication, bridging time zones in global projects. We used to work in an office where people could walk up to each other, have spontaneous conversations, and solve issues on the fly. However, when COVID happened and we all started working remotely, we lost some of that spontaneity. Despite this, the new situation brought opportunities to collaborate with people from across the globe. During one of my projects, we worked with several studios worldwide, including a team in Romania. Shout out to AMC Studios. I was based in Florida, while the Romanian studio was 7 hours ahead of us. This time zone difference posed some communication challenges. When I started my workday, the Romanian team was wrapping up theirs, and this overlap provided a brief window for communication, for live communication. But any feedback or instructions had to be delivered promptly. If the Romanian team needed something from us during the early or middle parts of their day, it was challenging to provide real-time responses. To address this, we established a system to streamline our communication. At the beginning of my day, which coincided with the end of theirs, I would meet with the team and get their daily update before they signed off. I'd give feedback in written form or with screenshots with annotations so they could see it in the morning. Unfortunately, written notes and drawings often led to more questions, further complicating the process since they couldn't get a response from me until the end of the day. To enhance clarity, I began screen recording sessions where I reviewed their work, offering feedback while drawing and explaining as if they were present. This allowed them to understand my thought process behind the notes. These recordings were then uploaded to our SharePoint homepage. I instructed the Romanian team to check SharePoint first thing in the morning for any new updates or feedback videos. This system ensured that they had detailed, clear guidance to follow throughout their workday. An added advantage of the recorded feedback is the team always had the ability to go back and review what had been said. Implementing this strategy minimized inefficiencies caused by our time zone differences. It allowed the Romanian team to address feedback during their workday, and by the end of their workday, they would hand over the work for me to review, and this seamless handoff ensured continuous progress. A hidden feature of having the Romanian team offset from our US team was the extended coverage we achieved. While the Romanian team worked, the US teams were off, and while the US teams worked, they were off. This overlap meant we covered more time together, allowing us to hand off tasks without stepping on each other's toes. If the US team couldn't finish something during their day, I would have them pass it to the Romanian team to finish, and they would do the same for the US teams. An unexpected benefit of this setup was the improved collaboration and camaraderie between the US and Romanian teams. Artists who were once siloed in their own zones and tasks began to communicate more, knowing they would be handing off work to each other. This necessity for collaboration fostered better team dynamics and the added benefit of cultural exchange. The lesson: effective communication across time zones requires strategic planning and leveraging technology. Clear, detailed feedback through recorded videos, coupled with a system for information sharing, can bridge the gap created by different work hours. Moreover, fostering collaboration through regular communication not only ensures smooth project progression, but also strengthens teams' bonds, making the work environment more enjoyable and cohesive. Managing scope creep, establishing boundaries for project success. Midway through a project, I was assigned to lead a team responsible for updating assets to a specific level of detail. Our process involved submitting these updated assets to the client for feedback. The client's team, including their art director and art lead, would review the assets and provide what felt like endless cycles of nitpicky feedback. We were on a tight schedule with a considerable number of assets to update. The time taken for each round of feedback, multiplied by the number of assets, was pushing us far behind our schedule. It became clear that if we continued down this path, we would not meet our deadline. Upon stepping into this leadership role, I initially assumed that boundaries for feedback iterations had already been established. When I realized they hadn't, and that this was contributing to our delays, I took action. I decided to set firm boundaries on the number of iterations we would accommodate for each asset. I communicated to the client's team that we would limit the feedback cycles to 2 iterations per asset. I explained that continuing beyond this would jeopardize our ability to complete the project on time. By setting this boundary, we aim to streamline the process and keep the project on track. This strategy worked really well for us. It made our expectations clear to the client's team, who were initially unaware of our tight schedule. The client's reviewers were focused solely on perfecting each asset and didn't realize the impact their iterative feedback was having on our timeline. Once they understood the constraints, they adjusted their approach, providing more concise and actionable feedback within the given iterations. The lesson: setting clear boundaries is crucial to managing scope creep. Without defined limits, projects can easily spiral out of control, especially when multiple stakeholders are involved. By establishing and communicating these boundaries, we can ensure that everyone is aligned with the project's goals and timelines. Fostering positivity, assuming the best in team interactions. A colleague of mine shared a story that perfectly illustrates the importance of maintaining a positive attitude and assuming the best in others. He worked on a project with a team composed of individuals from multiple cultural backgrounds. This diversity, while enriching, also created an unforeseen environment for potential conflict. People can unintentionally offend each other, and misunderstandings can easily arise. In this situation, my colleague observed significant friction among team members. Tensions escalated to the point where someone decided to create a blame chart and set up a meeting to identify and assign blame for where things had gone wrong. This approach backfired spectacularly, turning what could have been a constructive discussion into a destructive one. The meeting intensified the conflict rather than resolving it, leading to further misunderstandings and mistrust. This story resonated deeply with me because it highlights the critical importance of trust and positivity in a team setting. Giving team members the benefit of the doubt and assuming that everyone is trying their best can transform team dynamics. In my own experience, I've worked with so many passionate and dedicated individuals. When friction arises, it is often a symptom of systemic issues rather than personal failings. When trying to figure out where problems lie during times of friction, it's essential to look at the system first and identify where communication has failed. More often than not, the root cause of the problem is found in the system and communication processes rather than the individuals involved. By focusing on the systemic issues, we can address the underlying problems that led to the misunderstandings and conflicts to begin with. To avoid the pitfalls of blame and negativity, it's so crucial to foster a culture of trust and constructive feedback. Instead of assigning blame, we should focus on understanding the root causes of the issues and work collaboratively to address them. Positive reinforcement and empathy can go a long way in building a cohesive and high-performing team. I want to refer to the story earlier about the unclear roles, where because the roles were not communicated clearly, there was friction among colleagues. The problem might be clear in hindsight, but at the time when these issues were brought up, there were many assumptions made that were placing blame on other coworkers and not the system. The lesson: always strive to be positive and assume the best intentions from your colleagues. Trust that they are doing their best and approach conflicts with a mindset geared towards finding solutions rather than assigning blame. By examining the system and communication first, we can more effectively resolve issues and create a supportive and productive work environment. Gaining insights: the importance of multiple perspectives. Have you all heard of the phenomenon called wisdom of the crowd? This concept suggests that the collective judgment or estimation of a large group of individuals can be remarkably accurate, even if individual guesses or inputs aren't very precise. There's a famous story about a 1906 county fair where statistician Francis Galton observed that the average guess of a crowd about the weight of an ox was very close to the actual weight. Using this concept, you can better solve problems or enhance your craft by getting as many inputs as possible. This lesson applies broadly to life. For instance, if you receive a medical diagnosis, you don't rely solely on one doctor's opinion. You seek multiple opinions to ensure a comprehensive understanding and the best possible decision. In education, students benefit from diverse viewpoints by engaging with different teachers or mentors, which enriches their learning experience. Embracing multiple perspectives in various aspects of life ensures more informed and balanced decisions. In game production, the wisdom of the crowd is particularly important, especially when properly scoping a project from the beginning. Getting multiple perspectives will help bring up things that might otherwise be missed. When creating art, for example, it's crucial to gather feedback from a diverse range of people. Don't limit yourself to just your art lead or director. Seek input from colleagues as well. Different perspectives can reveal insights that others might miss. For instance, you might create a piece that everyone loves, but one person might notice, hey, this reminds me of something I saw elsewhere. And this valuable feedback can help you make important adjustments, enhancing the quality of your work. At GameSim, we have a program called Directed Learning, designed for artists who are in between contracts to develop new skills and create engaging art. The program features regular meetings where artists discuss their current projects, exchange ideas, and learn from one another. This level of collaboration has been proving incredibly beneficial to the growth of the team. The lesson: always seek out as many opinions as you can when faced with a problem or perfecting your craft. The collective wisdom of a group can provide insights that a single perspective might miss. By valuing and integrating diverse viewpoints, you can enhance both the quality of your work and the strength of your team. Encouraging feedback, creating a safe space for concerns. For the industry to mature and grow, it's essential to establish a safe environment where people feel free to not only voice their complaints, but are encouraged to do so. Complaints should be seen as opportunities for learning and improvement. Just as in product development, where we rely on Q&A sessions and user feedback to identify issues and make enhancements, the same approach should be applied throughout the production process, whether at the beginning, middle, or end. For a project to succeed, team members must feel safe and supported in voicing their concerns and suggestions. This psychological safety is essential for open and honest communication. Without it, issues may go unreported, leading to unresolved problems that can hamper progress and team morale. Leadership plays a vital role in fostering this environment. Leaders need to be approachable, actively listen to feedback, and show that they truly value their team's input. When team members see that their concerns are heard, they're more likely to speak up in the future, contributing to a more collaborative and effective workflow. Creating a culture where complaints are welcomed and addressed promptly can lead to rapid improvements and a more resilient team. Encouraging open communication helps to surface hidden issues, enabling the team to address them quickly and efficiently. This proactive approach not only enhances the quality of the work, but also builds trust and cohesion within the team. It's also important to recognize that some issues can be very complex with no easy solutions. However, having an open and safe environment to acknowledge these issues can be a huge relief for the person bringing it up. In this environment, it's essential to prioritize respect for each other. A lack of respect leads to avoiding communication and breeds defensive responses. If we prioritize respect, we will naturally believe the best in others and strive to communicate effectively. When you respect someone and they offer constructive criticism, it's important to trust them and not become defensive. The lesson. Fostering an environment where team members feel free to complain is vital for continuous improvement and team success. By establishing psychological safety and demonstrating a commitment to addressing concerns, leaders can create a more dynamic, effective, and collaborative team environment. We've explored the critical role of communication in game production, highlighting the structural processes that help streamline our workflows and the personal nuances that enhance our interactions. The lessons from my journey in the industry, from the challenges of project scoping and the role definition to the complexities of cross-time zone communication, emphasize one central theme. Effective communication is the backbone of successful collaboration. It's important to remember that it's not just about avoiding miscommunications, it's about fostering an environment where every team member feels heard, respected, and valued. As we continue to navigate this evolving landscape of the gaming industry, let's commit to maintaining open lines of communication, encouraging feedback, and continually refining our processes. By doing so, we can build a supportive and innovative community that thrives on collaboration. Thank you for all your time and attention today.